You don't need to look far in Warframe to find a whole bunch of forgotten gear. Forgotten mods, forgotten weapons, you name it, Warframe has it. Things that are simply not relevant to the current meta. But you know what? I still feel a kinship to these old weapons, so today I'm gonna grab a rag and dust off my old Burston Prime and see what this old puppy can still do in 2023. If that sounds interesting to you, stick around. Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be re-diving deeper into the Burston Prime. I'm going to be taking this one through its phases. We're going to start off with an introductory level setup, then pump it up with Galvanized mods, Prime mods, essentially the works, and take it to Steel Path to see how she performs. That said though, please bear in mind that my builds and guides usually take a more new player friendly tone, simply because there's a lot of info here and I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. So in case you're a vet and you already know most of this stuff, you can either skip ahead or have a bit of patience. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Burston Prime. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped. And for that, just a couple of our regular free shots. The Burston Prime is what you can call a classical weapon of Warframe. This is one of the first true blue burst rifles. Now some people call them burst automatic, but what that means is essentially as soon as you pull your trigger, you're going to be firing 3 bullets in rapid succession. Bear in mind the recoil does kind of climb a little bit like that and kind of veers off to the side depending on the shot. It's not 100% consistent. So depending on the distance between you and your target, we're looking at 30 meters right now. I would aim roughly at the neck area so I get most of the headshots. There's not enough time for you to actually fight your mouse or your controller to get all the shots in the same place. So again, if I was to aim from over here, I would try to aim roughly at the torso of the enemy to try and get as many headshots. Now of course you can also use a minus recoil mod and that's gonna essentially solve the issue, but you do want to go for headshots. Obviously, firing 3 bullets in rapid succession will also mean that it's going to be consuming free ammo from your magazine of 45. So you may have 45 bullets in total, but you're firing 3 per shot, so effectively you get 15 shots before you need to reload. And the reload for a weapon such as this, not exactly super quick either. And that's pretty much it for functionality. It is, by all intents and purposes, a head scan attack. Let's have a closer look at stats to see exactly what we're dealing with. Mod capacity is going to be 60 out of 60. If yours comes with a measly 30 out of 30, you jump into actions and you plug in an Orokin Catalyst, which will be doubling your mod capacity. Is it worth upgrading the Burston Prime in 2023? No. 100% no. There are plenty of other more powerful weapons. If you want to upgrade this one, it's simply because you like the style of weapon. It can still perform in Steel Path, and I will show you that just a tad later. When it comes to forma, mine has 6 simply because I want to test all sorts of mod combinations, but for the weapon build I'm recommending you, you can get away with something like 3 or 4. I wouldn't say this is a forma light weapon. By all intents and purposes, it is a forma heavy weapon. As for the empty arcane slot, we got more options nowadays, but it comes down to the classics for the most part. You're going to be going with Primary Deadhead if you want to go for a raw strength approach. I'm talking about something like Corrosive and Heat. If not, you're going to go for the tried and true Primary Merciless. If you're going to be using it in tandem with your melee or you're trying some cool melee builds, go with Dexterity. In the excellent slot, you got a clear winner, my friend, Stabilizer with minus 60% weapon recoil. While the weapon itself doesn't really have a huge recoil to speak of, if you equip this one, you see that? It doesn't really climb all that much, so it makes it easier for you to actually get all of the free bullets and subsequent multi-shot bullets resulting into the target's head. Trust me, headshots matter a whole lot more than a lot of other factors, and if you don't know why that is, look at the cards right now for a full and detailed guide on critical chance, critical damage, and the hidden multipliers implied and applied in Warframe. Accuracy is going to be 25, as you can see there, it's plenty accurate. Ammo maximum 540. Now this weapon doesn't really suffer from ammo issues per se, but if you're gonna go crazy with fire rate and basically bind your fire to your mouse wheel, you might have some ammo issues depending on the targets. This would be maximum rate of fire. So you can make it something of the sort. Again, bind your fire to your scroll wheel if you enjoy that kind of play. In such a case, you might consider Vigilante supplies for getting your ammo back more efficiently if you cannot consistently drop ammo pads like in Steel Path. Fire rate is going to be 5, which is a little bit on the low side. Magazine of 45, but effectively 15 shots. Noise alarming, of course. Reload on 2 seconds. This should have been a tad lower at a 1.5. Riven Disposition is maxed out at 5 out of 5 because, as you can tell, this is not an overly popular weapon. And the reason why I do guides for these things is because I honestly, legitimately like them and enjoy using them, and I feel a little bit nostalgic towards them as well. Trigger burst, as we talked about. As for the damage, critical chance, critical damage, 18%, not so horrible. Critical multiplier, again, not so horrible. Definitely not even the standard, if you will. Still, this is a critical weapon, and yes, we will build crit on it. As for the damage layout, you're looking at IPS with a whole lot of slash and the same amount of impact and puncture. Not exactly a fantastic layout, but you are looking at 46 damage. And the status chance at 30% is actually not that bad. Now let's have a look at a standard introductory level setup. Damage serration, multi-shot split chamber, critical chance and critical damage through the use of critical delay, argon scope as well as vital sense. Keep in mind that argon scope is your option slot. I will give you more options just a tad later. Now the minus fire rate on critical delay, minus 20% drops the fire rate to 4. Honestly, if you're just going to be using it in burst mode and without binding your fire to your scroll wheel, it's going to be good enough. But if you can't stand the minus fire rate, you have two options. One, you can go with point strike, but you will be losing a chunk of critical chance, and since you are going for hunter munitions, it's going to matter a whole lot. Or the other option to go for fire rate, and for fire rate, my favorite mod still remains vial acceleration with that 90%. The minus 15% you see here essentially takes away 15% from your serration. Just think of it like that. It's no big deal. I would still go with critical chance, but if you enjoy the BRRT BRRT, then you go with vial acceleration. And yes, BRRT BRRT is a technical term. Rhyme rounds and malignant force, the 260-60 fodder mod, since we are running hunter munitions. I would like to point out this is not the only way to build a Burston, definitely not. You can build it whichever way you want. This is the vital slash approach, which currently is most effective because that's been the meta for several years. Now, let's make sure we don't have anything that would skew our test results. Oh, by the way, guys, I'm coming out with a full and detailed BRRT build guide with everything you need to know for Steel Path and all of that good stuff. Let me know if you're interested in the comment section down below. Level 120 Corrupted Heavy Goons and level 120 Exogog by popular demand. Obviously, we're gonna go for headshots. This is what the weapon can do with normal, average, everyday mods. More than plenty slashes in your targets. For normal, average, everyday content, I'm talking about everything that the star chart plus the sortie can throw at you. This is it. This is it. You can clear the entire star chart without any issue whatsoever using this old true blue weapon. Do you want to do that? You might. Again, not everything in Warframe is about power, and not everything and not everyone goes for, oh, the most powerful, the most OP-ness, the most... No. There are players that enjoy the flair and the style of different weapons, so you can go for something of the sort if you so desire. Now we're gonna go for GOG stat. You've seen what it does to Corrupted Heavy Goons level 120. Exo GOG stat got more EHP, so hit it till about 50% and watch the slashes deal the damage. More than plenty when it comes to vitals. You know what I could use more? A bit more slash, which is why I'm running Argon Scope and not something like more multi-shot like Vigilante Armaments, which is again a good option. Or you can also run with some fire rate like previously stated. Honestly, it's all up to you. Oh, Shred! Shred would be a fantastic idea. That punch through is a form of AoE in Warframe, and if you got Prime Shred, simply slap that puppy on and you're gonna be loving your time with the Burston Prime. For my 2 cents, for the fact that this weapon is basically ancient and obsolete from a mechanics perspective, this is more than plenty, and I am happy with how she performs. But obviously, we can make her perform a whole lot better. Now, can't we? For that, however, you will need more cookie cutter mods such as Galvanized Chamber and Galvanized Aptitude. Yes, Galvanized Aptitude works because this is a hit scan single target weapon. Now on my build, I also have a Riven. This is a Burston Sadie Talks, and I'll be honest, I don't remember how I got this one. This is back from the era when minus impact on Rivens was the best thing to have. Sadly, that is not the case anymore, but it doesn't really harm that weapon all that much anyway, because we're not going to be using internal bleeding, we're going to be using hunter munitions instead. Ideally, however, on a Riven, you would have that critical chance if you're running hunter munitions for obvious reasons. Now, let's say you don't like a Bane mod. Honestly, I'm not a fan either, but in this case, it will highlight the power of the weapon nicely. Instead of a Bane mod, you can use a flat damage mod for normal, average, everyday content. It's no problem whatsoever. And if you really must have more crit, you can go Argon Scope with Galvanized Scope. As I don't like, and I don't think that the way that Galvanized Scope functions is reliable, I simply avoid recommending it. Primary Merciless in the Excellent slot, and we're gonna go against the same targets as before. Corrupted Heavy Gunners 120 and Exogog 120. This being a galvanized setup, I will have to get a couple of kills before the weapons is in full swing. Now, in order to kill these high-level targets, all you're gonna need, mathematically speaking, sometimes is a single shot. But most of the time, you're gonna need 2 shots to absolutely annihilate a target. Look at that. Beautiful. 3 slashes, 6 vitals. You don't really need anything more. Pooh. See that? Absolutely bloody destroyed. And bear in mind that the weapon is not even fully stacked just yet when it comes to the galvanized stacks and whatnot. As for the exogog, you will need about 2 shots. Look at that, 4 slashes, 10 vitals. The exogog is no more. Committed Sudoku or Seppuku or whatever it is. As you can see, this is the power of the weapon with galvanized mods. For my 2 cents, I didn't expect it to act this way. But I know what you're gonna say, dude, just go for body shots. Alright, let's go for body shots. Obviously, body shots are gonna be a different kettle of fish, but you're still gonna be able to destroy whatever stands before you. And of course, killing standing still targets is not exactly very sportsmanlike, is it? Let's head on over to the path of steel. Welcome to the Void, my friends. Now let's see what the Burston Prime can do against level 130-ish steel path corrupted. As you can see, 1 shots made quite easy, as long as you manage to get your headshot and all whatnot. Now, I'm not going to be using Revenant because you guys say, hey, Leyzar, with Revenant it's easier to get headshots, and it is, but you know, this is Steel Path. You're supposed to use whatever you have at your disposal to absolutely annihilate your targets. And as you can see, even the corrupted heavy goons stood no chance there of survival. Now, of course, since I'm running Baruch, I can always turn on my 4 and absolutely murder whatever stands before me, but the point is to show you what the Burston can do. And this is what the weapon... Is that a butcher? I don't even see that. Look at that on the balcony there. There was something there. Oh, that was the butcher. I knew there was a butcher around. It is no issue in absolutely annihilating whatever stands before you, especially if you turn on rapid fire, so you just move your scroll wheel. Honestly, I didn't expect the weapon to perform this well. It's an antiquated weapon. Honestly, it deserves to be in some sort of Warframe museum, but it can still pack a punch. It can still destroy the highest level targets that the game can offer you. Okay, granted, without taking into account endurance runs and all whatnot. This is not the kind of weapon I would take to, let's say, let's meet levels in the thousands, man, let's do level cap and all whatnot. Not the weapon for that. If you're interested, however, in such a weapon, how's about a link in the cards? Right now, you're gonna be loving yourself. It's the last true blue AoE weapon that does work in Warframe. Let's see, what else is there to say? I do believe, my friends, that's pretty much it. What do you guys think of the Burston Prime? Would you use something of the sort? Now, of course, we can make it hit even harder than this if we apply Warframe buffs. So let's head on back to the simulacrum so I can show you my ever so lovely lady, Mirage. Wait, this guy first. Gone. Oh, another corrupted heavy goon. Is that doubles? Oh my god, is that triples corrupted heavy goon? Come out, whatever you is. The slash is gonna kill her. Where was I? Oh yeah, Simulacrum. Now when it comes to the actual build itself, you can go with corrosive projection against heavily armored targets. Obviously, this is not really gonna count for much if your targets don't have armor, and it's not as powerful as it used to be. My recommendation, go for the aura of your choosing, whatever your build calls for. The arcanes, however, are a lot more impactful. Avenger, R5, baby. This will give you 45% critical chance for 12 seconds. Absolutely love this one. And that means, if my calculations are correct, we're gonna get 45 on top of that 54. Absolutely bloody fantastic. 99%. 99%. So you still have a 1% chance per damage instance to not get yourself that yummy crit. As for your second arcane, or better said your first arcane, normally this goes for something like your energize or whatever else makes your Warframe build work. If you want more flat damage, no problem, simply go with Arcane Rage. It's not really needed on this build currently, except if you're going for normal level content, because more flat damage will mean faster clear time. In the case up until level 150-ish. If not, you can go with Fire Rate. Fire Rate is definitely a good idea at times. Arcane Acceleration on critical hit, plenty, my friends, plenty. So we're gonna go like so. And of course the Panzerwulpefeila, like I showcased her in Steel Path. The Panzerwulpefeila will offer you fantastic people some vital procs, so you don't necessarily need to build vital on your weapon anymore. Though do bear in mind that the vital procs from the Panzerwulpefeila are not something I would call reliable. And power, Eclipse, massive, and power, the best animation in Warframe. Are ever so lovely clones. Now, you go for headshots, my friends, and keep in mind this is, at the end of the day, a galvanized setup, so you will have to get a couple of kills before the build is in full swing, and you will be able to fully one-shot these high level targets, like so. The value of the slashes should be off the charts. Didn't even get a slash value there because the impact damage was too great, but maybe on the GOG stat we can see 176,000 value slash there. The corrupted heavy goons simply explode upon contact, but the GOG stat should be beefy enough to take a hit. Are you a GOG? It's GOG, and the slash was 36 with 24, and that was a body shot, not a headshot, because he had that whole animation and all whatnot. 48,000 over there. Are you GOG? You're not GOG. Just corrupted heavy goons. And I do believe, my friends, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, my name has been Lazer. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe only if you enjoy the content. As for the Burston Prime, it may be a relic of yesteryear, but you know what? I personally still enjoy using this weapon, clunky as it may be, though the Latrine Prime is more clunky than that, and it can still hold its own. Just barely, but still. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one. Oh, and if you love the content and you want to help me keep making it, consider supporting us via Patreon. There will be a link in the upper right portion of the screen right about now. But until next time, my friends, bye-bye.